something going on, and I'd like to know, from a scientist's perspective, what is going on.
In psychic detection, there are really two branches. Those who attempt to prove the existence of ghosts or supernatural events using strictly scientific means. And the other side are those who use metaphysical means to try to find answers to this great riddle. They are psychics and mediums.
Now let's go get your daughter.
When you have a haunting, a ghost, a poltergeist, or you have a psychic impression, all three things are very different, but they're all in the same area.
How long have you been investigating haunted houses?
The determination as to whether your home is haunted is not very easy. What I meant to say was it might very well be a poltergeist.
Poltergeist, the word means banging ghost, noisy ghost. And that's what they tend to do, basically, to make a hell of a noise. But they can also throw things around.
The manifestation is usually noisy manifestations, and because they want attention, they don't know who they are, what they are. They're lost. They don't understand that they've died, and so they want to get attention. And the only way they know how to make attention is to make a lot of noise or to create physical things, move objects, throw objects. That's all part of the physical phenomena, except we don't call it poltergeist. We call it physical phenomena.
In fairly recent years, there have been some quite interesting advances. These advances have been brought about by scientists, in fact, who wonder whether there's not some possible way of actually communicating electronically with the dead, and, have had some quite amazing results.
In the course of doing our investigative work from a scientific perspective, very seldom are we actually looking for a physical manifestation of a ghost. That's usually a pretty rare occurrence. Poltergeist, of course, is a classic film, and I can't begin to overstate how much an impact the movie made on me as a child. The scene in the film where the spirits are coming down the stairs and the parapsychologists, the ghost hunters, have all of their equipment set up. Roll it back. They're saying, did we get that on tape? Did we get that on tape? And they roll it back.
I think we got one. I think it recorded.
And sure enough, it recorded. I got goosebumps. It really made me start thinking, could you actually use electronics to substantiate the existence of these things? It really propelled me towards this as a field of study.
What was that? I did hear that. These days, we do a lot of surveillance, meaning we'll set up a DVR camera with anywhere from 4 to 8 to 12 cameras in certain rooms to see if we can see any kind of movement. We use radiation Geiger counter type instruments. This is a Geiger counter. You should get, I don't know, a couple of hits every minute. We were in the other room. We were getting a lot of feedback from our Geiger counter. This was more than a few times per minute, so there's obviously something other than normal radiation going on here.
This is an EM meter. It uses electromagnetic energy. Yeah, I would usually get a bounce of 2 or 3 points. This is just going nuts.
What we're looking for is an inference that a ghost may be present. How do they disrupt the environmental variables? That's a strong indicator that there might be a presence there, even though we can't directly observe it with our eyes.
Everybody was so fascinated that the little girl came through the TV set. Oh my God, how can that be? Voices through the TV. But only when the TV was on an off channel where you heard static.
I believe that the little girl in Poltergeist, when she was communicating with the spirits on the other side, she was going through the white noise, which does pick up the EVP.
EVP is an acronym. It stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena. And quite simply, these are voices and sounds that, again, are not audible to the unaided ear at the time the recording is made. They're only audible at the time the recording is played back. Lily, can you give us a sign that you're here, please? And in my personal opinion, this is some of the most compelling evidence that we have of the existence of ghosts.
Some people like the dowsing rod. They'll actually take two coat hangers and they'll hold them out in a, like a horizontal position. And when the coat hangers, the end of the coat hangers kind of intersect, they'll say, hey, there's a ghost there.
When I first started doing this, there were no books about how to do an investigation, but ultimately it boils down to how well you do the research and how well you follow up on it.
Science demands repeatable results under controlled observations, and paranormal activity by its very nature is paranormal, meaning outside the norm. It does not repeat on command. It does not manifest when we want it to, and because we lack this repeatability under controlled observations, it's an uncertainty.
Can you see me? Can you see Mommy?
Most paranormal investigators today will find the happy medium in the middle and will use their tools as well as a psychic to guide them on what hauntings may be going on in a location. Because an investigator can come in and they may have tools that they can get readings and say, okay, we believe that there's a haunting here because my readings are ABC. However, the psychic can come in and fill in the blanks.
What I'm trying to do, what I want to do is I want to establish a two-way dialogue with you. I'm going to be able to ask you a series of yes and no questions. I want you to flash the device twice for a yes answer and once for a no answer. Do you understand? In terms of working with a psychic or a medium on a paranormal investigation, there was a point in time when I wasn't really interested in that. I was more interested in the hard scientific data that I could record. Psychic impressions and mediumistic impressions, of course, are a very subjective, very personal account. There's really no way to substantiate that, or so I thought. And then my eyes were sort of opened to this a couple years ago. A psychic medium had told me that they actually should be treated as another tool, another instrument to add to my arsenal.
We generally go in and investigate for, for true signs of hauntings, and that's my job as well, to dissertate whether or not there is a ghost or some sort of unnatural phenomenon.
The clairvoyant in the movie, some of what she does is accurate.
She does a great job of walking through the house, making certain where everything is. Her clairvoyance does go one step further, that she's able to make actual communication with whatever that is. She's able to see past the normal psychic energy.
Carol Ann is not like those she's with. She is a living presence in their spiritual earthbound plane.
I think one of the reasons people are so interested in ghost hunting is it's like the final frontier. Everyone can't go to space, they can't go to the bottom of the ocean, they're not going to be able to climb Everest, but anybody can do ghost hunting that's willing to open themselves up to the experience.
People have always believed in ghosts simply because it seems to be one of the most important questions ever. And the more you look into it, the more you feel it's completely crazy that some people say, I do not believe in ghosts, because nobody who takes the trouble to look into it could say, I do not believe in ghosts. There's too much evidence.
What members of the household are involved, and what are their ages?
The first thing I do is ask a lot of generic questions. When do these things seem to occur? The time of day, month, are the kids present? What's the family psychodynamics like? Do they have a history of this? Did they have it around them prior to moving into their current residence? All of these things are relevant.
Would your family welcome a serious investigation of these disturbances?
When I go out investigating a site, I usually am alerted by a phone call, sometimes an email. Someone is panic-stricken, something is happening in their house, I can't explain it. I immediately take a deposition, and I try to develop a timeline. What happened first? What happened second? Then I walk through the site, usually on my own, to see if there might be a natural explanation. I put on the skeptical hat, and I try to discount everything that they report.